रुद्रेभ्यः वसुभिश्चराम्यमादित्ये उत विश्वदेवै अहं मित्रावरुणो भाबिभर्म्यहमिन्द्राग्नि अहमश्विनो भा अहं सोममानसं बिभर्म्यहं त्वष्टारं तपूषणो भगं अहं ददामि द्रविणो हविष्मते सुप्रव्ययजमानाय सुन्वते अहं राष्ट्रे संगमने वसूनां चिकितुषी प्रथमा यज्ञयाना ताम्मा देवा व्यददु पुरुत्रा भूरिस्थात्रां भूर्या वेशयन्ति मया सोऽन्नमत्तियो विपश्यति यः प्राणिति ययीं शृणोत्युक्तम् अमन्तवो मां तवुपक्षीयन्ति श्रुतिश्रुतश्रद्धिमं ते वदामि अहमेव स्वयमिदं वदामि जुष्टं देवेभिरुतमानुषेभिः यं कामयेतं तमुग्रं कृणोमि तं ब्रह्माणं तं ऋषिं तं सुमेधा अहं रुद्राय धनुरातनोमि ब्रह्मद्विषे शरवे अन्तवावु अहं जनाय समदं कृणोम्यहं द्यावा पृथिवी आविवेश अहं सुवे पितरमस्य मूर्धं मम योनिरप्स्वन्तः समुद्रे ततो वितिष्ठे भुवनानुविश्वोत्तामोऽद्यां वर्ष्मणोपस्पृशामि अहमेव वातैव प्रवाम्यारभमाणा भुवनानि विश्वा परो दिवा परयेन पृथिव्यै तावती महिला सम्बभूव You have heard the oldest hymn of the Divine Mother in the Eastern tradition. It occurs in the Rig Veda, the earliest scripture on record in India. It celebrates the glory of the divine puissance, the divine power that has brought out, sustains, and carries forward this world that we see and other worlds that we do not see with our physical eyes. You have heard of the tradition of the Tantras, a very ancient and dynamic line of evolution of the individual and the collective spirit. According to the truth proclaimed by this tradition, in the beginning, there is only the Supreme. And this Supreme cannot be defined, cannot be described, cannot be spoken of. It is ineffable. However, for sake of mental understanding, it is called the Supreme Consciousness, Para Samvit. Para is supreme. Samvit is consciousness. Or Para Shiva. Shiva is the white god of peace and movement, status and dynamis. He is the Supreme Shiva. Nothing else exists. He has a thought, a movement to manifest, to bring out and put into form what he holds. And the moment that thought occurs, there is a vibration. That is the first primordial sound, which translated into human speech after 4 levels of descent is rendered as Om. Om is the human equivalent of the sound vibration that issues from the Supreme, heralding all creation. And immediately, what is one, Shiva, Parashiva, splits itself into 2. There is the Shiva and there is the Shakti. They are not 2 separate entities, but one being, one consciousness, one reality that posits itself into 2 as static consciousness and dynamic consciousness, Shiva and Shakti. Wherever there is manifestation, wherever there is creation, there has to be this polarity. 2, where no existence, no creation is involved, there is oneness. Otherwise, there is 2, the one becomes the 2. And this dynamic consciousness is called the Shakti, the power, the puissance. At that level, he and she do not have the sexual connotation that it has on our physical plane. He means the presiding, the static, the supporting consciousness. She means the executive, the methodizing, the dynamic consciousness. And that power brings out of the bosom of the infinite all that is to be manifested. It finitizes what is infinite. And due to this capacity of doing something impossible, of giving form to what is formless, of putting into form what is essentially without form, it is called Maya. Maya does not mean, as it has been popularly and commonly supposed, to be a power of illusion, a power of falsehood that veils the reality, that keeps us all in bondage. It does not. Originally, Maya means the power that measures. For those who are familiar with Sanskrit, I would describe the derivation as mimite iti Maya, measures. It measures out the immeasurable. That is why it is called Maya. Maya there is an executive power which manifests what would otherwise remain unmanifest. And this Maya is related to Brahman, the reality turned towards manifestation. As the movement of manifestation goes further and further, when we come to this level of the universe of which we are a part, Maya becomes Shakti, power, and Brahman becomes Ishvara, the Lord. The Lord who presides and rules and governs. Shakti who executes according to his will. And at the individual level, yours and mine, it becomes Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the presiding soul. Prakriti is nature. So what is nature? What is Prakriti? At our level of ignorance, reveals itself to be Shakti in the realm of knowledge. It is the same power which has many statuses. At the level of ignorance, we call it nature, clouding the soul, limiting the soul. But at a higher level, level of knowledge, level of light, it is Shakti, the power of God. There is a pregnant verse in one of the Upanishads which says, the sages beheld the self-power of God, Maya, in their contemplation. Not everyone can vision that power. And this power, which brings out this universe from the unmanifest reality, he mothers this universe in a way, is worshipped, adored as the Divine Mother in the East. In other traditions also, this conception of the Divine Mother, the Diviner's Mother, was prevalent in the earlier ages. The West is familiar with the concept of the divine as God, as Father, fatherhood of God. But to the human soul, it is the motherhood of God that is more intimate, that more answers to truth and reality of relations than other possible relations. Indeed, in the Indian tradition, it is part of our outlook to form, that it is possible to form relations with the divine as father, as mother, as child, as friend, as master, as lord, as enemy. Each is a possible relation, thus giving scope to the human to utilize every existing type of relation at the human level to reach the divine by sublimating that relation. And Sri Aurobindo has written a classic book called The Mother, in which he portrays the gospel of the motherhood of God in a modern language, in terms of modern psychology, in terms which are living to us. He describes how there is a great puissance, a great power at work in this universe, manifesting the riches, the potencies that are held in the being of the Supreme. And this power, this Shakti as he calls, Mahashakti, the great Shakti, the cosmic Shakti, runs into four main channels. First, the power that brings out knowledge, that builds knowledge in the universe, promotes movements of knowledge, governs formation of knowledge, brings enlightenment, light, peace. She is adored as Maheshwari, the great goddess, ruling in the Empyrean heights. She is worshipped directly or through her lesser emanations in different parts of the globe. But she is the power who brings, builds and presides over the manifestation of truth as knowledge. The divine truth has many aspects. But the first aspect, which is knowledge, is contributed, organized, structured by Maheshwari. There is the second channel, second stream, where the divine power flows as strength, as power, guarding the truth, guarding the knowledge, beating down every opposition, every dark obscurity that tries to obscure the face of knowledge, the face of truth. Wherever there is injustice, wherever there is falsehood, wherever there is claim of ego, there this power intervenes. It brings down the thrones of the tyrants. Her power is irresistible. And when she acts, we might feel that she is murderous. She is terrible. Terrible is her face to the Asura. Asura is the Titan. She is terrible to to those who oppose the advent of truth, the advent of light, the reign of God. And when she deals with us individually, if we have obstructions that stand in the way of our evolution towards the light, towards the Godhead, it is this power that intervenes and acts in what we feel to be in a harsh manner. She is Mahakali, worshipped also in her lesser emanations as Kali. Most of you in the West are familiar with the descriptions of Western authors of Kali as the goddess of killing, who has skulls around her neck, who is naked, and who claims lot of sacrifices. The whole thing is symbolic. It has been taken out of focus. Mother used to describe, Mother was my teacher, that Kali in herself is beautiful. It is human perversity that has rendered an ugly image of what is a symbolic function. Her function is to destroy evil and falsehood, to destroy obscurity and resistance and inertia. And there her face is terrible. But by herself, she is merciful. She kills in her mercy. She kills with love. Sri Aurobindo describes in his epic Savitri how not only the white children, but even the dark ones, on the higher planes, the titans, they are described as dark in the sense of obscurity. They also are the universal mother's children, and they are corrected by very severe means, and that is Mahakali. The second aspect, the second manifestation of the divine power. And there is the third, the power of beauty, the power of harmony, the power of wealth, the power of prosperity, the power of music, the power that presides over arts, all that is aesthetic, all that is beautiful. There is a power in the universe that presides over these aspects of life, builds certain nice, happy relationships, and promotes wealth, health of mind, health of body, health of the soul, wealth of mind, wealth of heart, wealth of the body. She is Mahalakshmi. She is always worshipped as the beautiful one who brings prosperity and grace. And the fourth is the youngest of the four, one who works, one who insists on perfection in work, service, who organizes things, who exerts herself, the most laboring with the human to achieve a certain perfection in manifestation, perfection in organization, perfection in life. She is Mahasaraswati. These are the four main aspects of the Divine Mother, building the four pillars of the edifice of human collectivity, evolving towards the divine consciousness. Knowledge, strength, harmony and beauty, and work, service. And these four descending streams of the divine power correspond to the fourfold personality of the human soul. Each one of us has four elements. Maybe Some are less prominent, some are more, and they are described as the essential quartet. Even in as old a scripture as the Vedas, they are called four elements. There is a famous verse describing how the universal divine architect, Vishwakarman, gave to the human one bowl, out of which the artisans of immortality fashion four bowls. And when the four bowls are fashioned, the human being reaches his perfection, perfect manifestation of the divine intention. As I was saying, each one of us has four elements. There is a part in us, there is an element in us which wants to know, which wants to understand, which wants to organize in the mind. It is our basis for living, for going ahead, the element of knowledge. We have a part. Mostly we identify it with the mind, though it is not true that the mind alone knows or can know, nor is it true that the knowledge of the mind is the highest knowledge. But anyway, in the present evolution of the human beings, the mind is the instrument of knowledge, and knowledge is one element. Second is each one of us has an element of strength to effectuate what we want, to resist what we do not want, that vitality, that power. The third is we want to expand, we want to organize relationships, we want to produce, we want to distribute, we want to build a civilization, everything, organizing, production, harmonization. That's the third faculty. And the fourth faculty is of exertion. Exertion at all levels, what we call work, what we call service. Now all these four are there in each human being. And necessarily, all these four are in every society. Every collectivity has got these four strands, whether in the East or in the West. These principles always took form in the organization of the society in four classes. The intellectuals, the clergy, the scholars, the military, the armed classes, those who produce and distribute, and those who serve. Now these four ascending streams of the human spirit are seconded, fulfilled by the four descending streams of the divine power, the Divine Mother, as Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati. The Divine Mother is thus most intimate to every evolving individual, to every collectivity, whether we are aware of it or not. She is there. It is unfortunate that this side of truth, the womanhood manifesting the motherhood of God, has not received adequate attention all these centuries. But before the present century, opened, the mother declared that liberation for mankind will be meaningless if half of humanity is in chains. And she said, the present century will see the liberation of the woman. And we are seeing the fulfillment of this prophecy, particularly in America, to a less extent in Europe, and perceptibly in the East. It is a sign of human evolution reaching a stage, a climactic stage, when the liberated woman will take her place with the liberated man. In mother's outlook, both are slaves. When she first heard of this movement, lib movement in America, when somebody told her, it was about 15 years ago, she said, but nobody can liberate a woman. A woman has to liberate herself. And she noted on a piece of paper that a woman will be liberated when she put 3 conditions. When she is able to get over her admiration and dependence upon masculine strength. 2, when she is able to resist the attraction of the security of a home. 3rd, when she can get over the compelling urgency of having a progeny, children. Not that these things are wrong, but to be driven and compelled by these considerations keeps the woman under slavery. And she went on to add, and man will be free when he is able to overpass his desire to possess a woman. 2, when he can get over attraction to the small conveniences of a home. And 3rd, when he can transcend desire for sex enjoyment. Then, she says, man will be equal of woman. Well, that has stuck in my mind, saying that whatever our external analysis, both are in a certain degree of slavery. The divine principle is of equality, absolute equality. Mother was once asked in a public session by a small girl. She asked, Mother, is it true that we girls are inferior to boys? Mother answered her. She said, this is a very interesting question that has engaged my attention even much before. She said, I have always wondered why both in the East and the West, woman has been given a subordinate position, denied participation in certain rituals and religious practices, both in the East and the West. So she said, she decided to find out whether there is any truth in this differentiation. And once, in her trance, meditative trance, she went up to the source of creation. And there she looked to see what was the truth behind this differentiation between the male and the female and the subordination of the female. And she said there was absolutely no basis. There, on the higher levels of existence, male is the passive, presiding consciousness. Female is the executive and the dynamic consciousness. It is only as one descends lower, nearer the physical levels, that nature proceeds to effect a differentiation in physical form for her own purposes, perpetuation of the species. But otherwise, essentially, in truth, there is no distinction, there is no form, there is no male soul and no female soul. All souls are divine, having the same character. This is the philosophy of the Divine Mother, the Divine Woman, and the true focus in which we have to see these problems. If you have questions, I should be happy to answer. It is the present process of procreation is sexual, and as long as that process continues, there has to be a differentiation on the present basis. If in the course of evolution, as many occultists foresee, the process of birth will cease to be sexual, then this differentiation will no longer last. The present distinction between male and female will not continue at a future age when the process of creation will be different. A very good question. Insofar as the physical mother lives up to her responsibility of actualizing the Divine Mother basis, relation, the physical mother should be regarded and adored as the Divine Mother. But if she does not live up to that, necessarily the attitude changes. In the Indian tradition, for instance, we always look upon our physical mothers as representative of the Divine Mother. We can't see the Divine Mother physically, so we adore, and on certain days we even worship in our own way our physical mother. But it means that she keeps up certain standards, she discharges her responsibilities responsibly. If she does not, she forfeits that position. So we should start by giving our physical mother the status of the Divine Mother. Because, as Mother says, the love of a mother to her child is the nearest that human spirit has built up, evolved, nearest to the divine love. Every other type of human love is selfish, organized around one's own ego. But there, not that it is entirely selfless, but still it is as pure as the human spirit can achieve in the present circumstances. And that is very sacred.
In the classical representations of Shiva as Lord of the Dance or Shiva the Destroyer, then this is the Shakti aspect of Shiva that is presented, is that right?
Yes, as I said, Shiva and Shakti are not to be looked upon as two different entities. In a certain poise, in a certain moment, Shiva becomes his Shakti. In a certain moment, he is just Shiva. And that particular image which you have in mind, this Nataraja, of which one of our friends has written a very illuminating study, it combines both. In the eyes and in the face, he is Shiva. In the dynamics of movement, he is Shakti. And each one of us is intended to achieve this balance, harmonization between that peace, stasis, and movement. Yes, the integral yoga, the holistic discipline of a complete development of the human personality must involve the perfection of these four aspects of the human personality. We can't say, as the older generations did, that I will achieve perfection in knowledge. I will obtain liberation in knowledge only, or in love only. It has to be all round, all sided. Otherwise, we don't integrate what we have evolved. Yes.
Well, listening to that nutrition condition, I still find it very hard for my brain not to think of God as Father. And I agree with you that it's close to the reality of how I would like to see God as God and Mother, but I can't do that. Or I find it very hard to do it.
It should not be forced. It should not be forced. That type of relation, which is relevant to your present development in evolutionary basis, that is natural to you. We should not impose any other relation which is not natural to us. The Divine Mother acts, functions, whether we accept or not. Whether we function in that framework or not, it is immaterial. She nourishes, she mothers, she gives exactly what is want. There is a remarkable passage in the Sri Aurobindo's Synthesis of Yoga, where he describes how the mother soul waits with the bounty in her 1,000 hands, waiting and wanting the child soul to approach it and ask whatever it needs. It is a superstition that we should not ask from the divine anything material, anything worldly, only spiritual things. No. From a certain angle, all is divine. So the Divine Mother is awake, and we should not force relationships on ourselves. I don't know whether you believe in rebirth. Possibly that relationship may become actual to you in the next incarnation. We do not know. Yes.
You said in reference to the children to see our physical mother as a manifestation of the divine mother, as again, how they are wives to the divine mother.
Well, in our scriptures, it is said that every woman is a ray, R-A-Y, of the Divine Mother. So that aspect is there. The sacredness of womanhood, that aspect is there. But I certainly would find it difficult to worship my wife as a Divine Mother. That I don't have a wife is another blessing. But the most that I would go is to respect the femininity as something sacred. That's all. For a woman is the security of a home, and for man is the conveniences of a home. But we should be able to run a home without these considerations, for its own sake, as a place, as a center to build true harmony, to bring up healthy children, growing towards smart, to perfect our personalities, to harmonize ourselves, husband and wife. Harmonization between husband and wife is not just physical. Mother speaks of 7 levels. A perfect marriage, she says, has to be consummated on 7 levels. The physical is only the grossest, the most material. There has to be a mental balance, a mental harmonization. Each partner to try for and achieve a mental harmony. Normally the two live in 2 different mental worlds. They say this is woman's affair and this is man's affair. Now a consistent effort has to be made to relate oneself mentally. My mental world and her mental world must cohere. There must be interchange, there must be dialogue. Similarly, there has to be a harmonization at the level of the emotions. The periodicity of emotions, the direction of the emotions, they have to find a meeting point. Then there is the harmonization of desires, passions, vitality. Very few consult this mutual need. Each one thinks only of oneself. And there is the need of psychological harmonization. The outlook, the way we react to things. Do we make an attempt, a sustained cultural attempt to harmonize our psychologies? Then at the physical level, and last at the level of the soul. Same aspiration for higher truth. If one seeks for the divine and one doesn't believe in the divine, it is going to be very difficult. So one has to work for and achieve harmonies on all these levels before a marriage or a home can be truly successful.
How many of those levels are exclusively between the partners and are not shared with other people around you?
The ideal is to share it with all. The ideal is to share it with all. But each person is given a challenge. a focus for exertion in the partner. The idea of the partner is that to give you a challenge and make you work, to extend yourself, to forget your personality, fuse in the other, and learn to broaden your consciousness. And the partner is a focus. The ideal is, of course, to extend to as many as possible. It remains a counsel of perfection.
Instance, for instance, of a physical mother forfeiting that position of
Yeah.
divine mother, perhaps in her limitation in the situation of child abuse, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What can the child then use as a symbol of that divine mother? Is that something that may turn the child inward to a more spiritual sense of the divine mother? Or what can one use as that type of physical symbol of a divine relationship?
There is usually in such a situation somebody else who emanates that love, tenderness, protective feeling to the child. Somebody else. It may not be related, it may be a friend, it may be a relation. That person becomes the image of the Divine Mother.
Thank you very, very much. Beautiful talk. This concept